What's going on, guys? I'm going to show you how to lower your Traxxas Rustler using a Traxxas Revo spring. And the trick you do is you put a small piece of fuel tubing inside the piston shaft to prevent the shock from coming out all the way, therefore keeping your car lower to the ground for speed runs for your Rustler and things like that. So we'll take a complete shock here put together. These are the big bore Traxxas shocks. First thing you do is you pull the spring back and remove the lower piece that holds the spring. Remove the spring and grab a pair of pliers with a napkin or something to prevent your needle nose pliers from damaging that shaft, because that will cut the seal and they will leak. So hold it tight as you spin off that eyelet at the bottom, and after a few twists it becomes pretty easy. You no longer need the needle nose and you can set that aside. Now these bump stops I'm probably not going to use. I don't need to limit the travel any more than they're already going to be traveling. So you can then, these come empty, by the way. I just got these as packaged, just opened it, they're empty. So I will open up this. They've got the bladder, rubber bladder inside. Keep that where it's at. Push out the piston assembly, pull that out. And I have cut these to 3/4 inch. You measure these out. These are measuring exactly 3/4 inch. I'm going to try that on all four corners, see how that works. So I press that onto the shaft like so. It's a pretty tight fit. Press it all the way up. Now make it as even as you can, no big deal. Put that back into your shock assembly and pull that through. And now we only have, well, we have 3/4 inch less travel. This happens to be a rear one I'm working on right now. So what you will do then is you will take one that I've already completed, and I'm bleeding the bubbles out, which looks like the bubbles are completely out. I can take the cap. Oh, here's the cap for that one. The Traxxas tool, tire tool, makes a great holder. You'd like to hold them and fill them and let the air bubbles rise to the top. You do not want any air bubbles in your shock oil. That will cause sponginess and flat spots where you'll not get the dampening force that you're looking for. So basically when that is round with the top, it's pretty flush. You'll see a little concave curve to the fluid. Make sure you've worked it up and down a little bit and it is completely out of air. And put this together. Screw that on tight. Let me hold it with some needle nose. They make tools for this, but I'm too lazy to grab them. Tighten this down a little bit snug without marking up the sides. Okay, now I've already built this one. So what you'll do, I actually don't have enough of the exhaust tube gaskets to show you on that longer rear one, so I will dismantle the front one that I built. What you do is you take your Nitro exhaust gasket and you place it inside your Revo spring at the top perch, like so. It should slide evenly right in there. This one is not cooperating for some reason. It did earlier. Okay, there we go. So I get that seated in there. Leave your upper collar on, and that will then seat that perfectly into the top of the shock and make it a new rubber seat at the top. Now you'll have to fight, because these are pretty tight springs, to pull this back, and you need a Revo or a larger lower spring perch as well to slide onto that lower shaft, and like that. And there you have it. There's a front complete 50 weight shock oil. I'm using the orange Revo Springs. Lowered them 3/4 inch with the exhaust rubber silicone at the top, which seals it perfectly and gives me a lowered spring assembly that I can then mount on my Rustler. Same thing here. You would slide the have a rear, so you would slide the rubber gasket here. You'd slide that up and it would seat. As you can see, if you don't have that piece, they will not seat. They will slide right through. You will then put the eyelet back on the bottom, thread that on. This is a rear one. As I attempt to get that threaded on, I'll have to use my needle nose again to get that tight. Make sure that they're all pretty much even. I tighten them so I can't see any more threads. No more threads. A couple more turns on this one, and threads are gone. Okay. Now that those eyelets are even, I would normally have my upper perch on there. I would then put the lower perch on, like so, and then I would set it inside my fancy holder and fill it. I would usually fill it first, but you'll fill it up a little bit from the top, and then you'll have to work it a little bit to get all the air bubbles out. This one's going to be tough because I don't have an upper perch on it. So I'll kind of work this one a little bit. Actually, I'm going to remove that spring because it's getting in the way at the moment. And then we can continue to work that up and down. You hear the air inside it. Top it off again. A little bit from the top. Continue to work that. Get the shock oil all the way underneath the fuel tube that you added to your rod inside. Continue to top that off until it's smooth. And you've worked most of the air bubbles to the top of the shock. You still need a little bit more to work it in until it's just about at the top, and most of the air bubbles you can see work their way through those, through that restrictor little disc, and at the top. Now is when see little bubbles at the top. I'll probably set this in here and allow that to set for about 15 minutes. Your bubbles rise to the top. You can then top it off if necessary, and then cap it off. Make sure your bladder is fully seated. Top that off. If a little oil spills out the threads, that's okay. That means you're completely full with no air. And this is a front complete, and this will be a rear complete, and it will be slightly longer than the front one. In fact, I want to see how long it'll be, and I might change one over. See you later.